Gonzaga Nation SI, he's Adam Morrison. I'm Dan Dickau. We roll on with today's podcast release episode. We're going to go break down some awards in the WCC this year, as well as talk about the break between the regular season and the WCC tournament, if that is a benefit or a hindrance to Gonzaga getting ready. So, Adam, let's just jump right into it. So, WCC awards. Let's start with Coach of the Year. Who do you have and why?
I think Herb Sindick at Santa Clara. They were picked to finish bottom of the league, and they're, I think, fourth place right now. Might get the third seed when they do the metrics because not everybody's played the same amount of games in the West Coast Conference Tournament. Probably an NIT team, so he's bringing that program back to some prominence. So obviously, Coach Few's always in that. That'd be boring for us to talk about that, right? I think Herb Sindick's done a fantastic job of getting that group to play together. And they gave us a scare at home as well. So I think Herb, in my book, would get my vote if I had one.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's almost impossible now to go Coach Few Player of the Year. I mean, he's been National Player of the Year. They did what everybody was expecting. Mm-hmm. I like your choice of Herb Sindick. He's gotten 3 teams in the NCAA tournament. They're not going to make it this year, barring a complete collapse from others to allow them to win the title. Mm-hmm. But they're definitely in the right direction. Yeah, I would think they're. When I was playing, Santa Clara was still good. This was the early 2000s. I don't think they've been in the NCAA tournament since Steve Nash, I want to say. And that was the last year, 96 or 97.
And they value hoops down there, so they're trying to win as well. And we talked about in the previous episode with San Francisco. So, he's trying to get them back to, being a fourth place and above team and NIT or NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I want to go – part of me wants to go Shante Leggins, but – all you had to do was win a couple games at Portland, and there was going to be improvement. They've been that bad under Terry Porter. I think 1 win in the last 2 years. But I'm going to go Todd Golden as my Coach of the Year. They've dropped a couple games that if they had they won them, they would absolutely be a lock for the NCAA tournament. But what he's done as far as elevating the excitement of basketball in San Francisco, getting people to truly believe on a national level, when you're talking about your bracketologists with Joe Lunardi, Jerry Palm, all the mainstays with the bracketologists, they're all saying San Francisco's in right now. So
I hope so.
I am going to go with Todd Golden as my Coach of the Year in the WCC.
Good choice.
Let's go Newcomer of the Year. I think this one's pretty easy for both of us. I'll let you go first.
Chet Holmgren. He'll be first team all WCC as well, in my opinion. So it's Chet. He's had a fantastic year. I think he won majority, if not all, but probably all but 1 or 2 of the freshman of the week or whatever they do. And I think that Malik kid from Pepperdine was the only other one that won it. I think him is a pretty obvious selection.
Yeah, I can't go any other direction. Yeah. I mean, if you do, you're just fighting an uphill battle.
Hot take.
Yeah, hot take, exactly. That's what we're not trying to do that.
Yeah.
But I agree. There's no way around Chet Holmgren as Newcomer of the Year. The question is does he challenge for Player of the Year, and does he challenge maybe for some All-American awards? So let's get into Player of the Year. Who's your Player of the Year?
Well, right now, and obviously Gonzaga's season's over. It's going to be Drew Timme. I think the start he had to the West Coast Conference season, the 27 out of 32, that 2-game stretch, and then just his overall steadiness in the league has been fantastic. I know he didn't play well against St. Mary's. You're allowed to have a bad game. But I think it's Drew Timme, and then I think would be a second-place vote, and it would be close. It would be Chet, just on numbers. I mean, there was a time when Chet was shooting the 60% from 3 in volume, right? Yeah. And at one point in league. So, you can make an argument for both, but I think just consistency-wise, it would be Drew Timme.
Yeah, I've got Timme as well, although just as you mentioned, I think Holmgren needs to get some considerable thought there.
Same here.
The only losses that Gonzaga has had outside Alabama is when Timme struggled. Timme struggled against Duke because of their length, strength, and athleticism on the inside. Mark Williams had, I think, a career game up until that point against Timme, and Timme didn't look great, but he came back, like you said, had a tremendous start to the league, and then he was basically doing anything he wanted up until that last game against St. Mary's. I think what did he end up 2 for 10 from the field,
something like that. Yeah,
and you're right. When you've been so good for so long, you kind of earn a bad game.
Yeah.
And thankfully for Gonzaga fans, it was not in the WCC tournament title game, and it was not in the NCAA tournament. So I will go number 1, Drew Timme, 1.2, Chet Holmgren. So I'm going to go there. So, what's interesting is Ken Palm with the analytics. He has like computer analytically driven player of the year rankings. Timmy's 2, Holmgren's 3.
It's a kid out of Kentucky, number 1.
I believe Shibwe is number 1. That would be a fascinating matchup if we get that in the NCAA tournament. Shibwe against either one of those guys.
I think Chet's length would bother him. It bothers everybody, but I think Drew versus Shibwe would be a fantastic, because kind of more brute strength and athletic body versus more old school and all that stuff with Drew Timme. It'd be kind of interesting to watch.
Yeah. How about biggest surprise of this season, whether it's an individual player, team, game, something you came across on your road?
I think just LMU this year. They were picked 4th, I believe, and had a good kind of energy about them and a new coaching staff from last year. And I know it was a COVID year, but, it's everybody still played 20-plus games or whatever, so it counts as a regular season. I think just their inability to win games this year and kind of just their how they looked and just kind of looked down and beaten up. I was really shocked that they weren't as competitive as they thought they were going to be. I thought that program has a chance to turn the corner, just being there where they are geographically, and then, a new coach, a younger guy, things of that nature. But they just didn't get it done this year. So I was surprised, and then kind of flip-flop that with Santa Clara. Like it was supposed to be LMU being in 4th or 3rd and Santa Clara being at the bottom. They kind of switched places, but that's why you go play the games, obviously. But LMU has just been kind of disappointing this year.
Yeah, and I like their head coach, Stan Johnson. He's got tons of energy. I think his message is always really good. I think it might be – I know they had some injuries early. Their starting point guard who never was able to take that position back, and then they had a weird COVID pause, and they could never recover from it. But it'll be interesting to see them without Eli Scott next year, because he seems like he's been around there forever.
Yeah, he's a 5-year guy for with the extra COVID year. Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic scorer inside, but his ball kind of sticks when it gets to him. So it'd be interesting to see how they play off of that. But then the counter arguments to him being gone is like, well, at least you got an 18-point game scorer that can go get you a bucket. That's harder than it sounds. So, like, careful what you wish for. And I'm not saying they're trying to get him out, but it's been so long since he's not been a face-up post player from 18 feet, kind of how he plays. So, yeah, they're going to have to really figure out their personnel situation this summer. But, again, that was the biggest surprise for me. It was like, I thought they were going to be a lot better. Yeah, I did too. But my surprise was individually a player from your favorite team that was an upstart. I can't call him your favorite team, but the team you liked, Santa Clara. Jalen Williams, 6'7" in wing from the Phoenix area. He was leading the league in scoring for quite some time. I'm not sure where it ended up shaking out. I know he was top 3 for sure in scoring, but he's got great length. He's got the ability to finish in transition. He's a good enough shooter to stretch the defense. I think he's a pro personally. So do I. And I think he would have been my surprise for the year, because everybody with Vrankic coming back, he was coming off a hip surgery. People were like, "Oh, this is Vrankic's team." Rightfully so, leadership wise, probably. But Williams was really good throughout the course of the year. Yeah, I think he's an NBA player. Every when I've watched him, and then everybody that I've kind of talked to about the league, some of the ESPN guys that do the games, they talk, it's like, that's an NBA player. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. Even if it's late first round or second round pick, like, he fits the mold. He looks like he understands the game, has feel, and then all the intangibles, like you mentioned, long, athletic, can shoot it. You can always improve your shooting as well. So, like, even if he's not knocked down, it's like, well, at least we're at a certain spot and then we can get better. So, yeah, I think he's been really good and had a fantastic season this year. Well, let's move on to the Wcc Tournament. It's a 9-day break between the St. Mary's game and their first game, Gonzaga's first game in Las Vegas. It's one of those kind of odd breaks that you never really get. 9 games because of the double bye. 2 questions. Do you like the 9 days, and what can you get better at? And then, do you like the double bye system? I like the 9 days from a trying to get healthy standpoint. So that's always in your back pocket if you're Coach Few, and knock on wood, we've had luck that we hadn't had major injuries in the past or this year, but that's always a possibility. So you have that. You can talk about rhythm. But the thing is, even if you're off rhythm, I don't know if this will make sense, but you're still playing a game that even if you lose, you're probably a number 1 seed. So like, even if you feel like you're going to get off rhythm, it's not the NCAA tournament. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So the break in between is not as big as it maybe sounds if it was going straight into the NCAA tournament. So I think it's okay, but maybe a 5-day break would be better, I guess. But it's nice to be able to get guys rest, recovery. They can refocus. And then you coming off a loss, like you said, you can really self-scout. I'm sure Fewy and the staff, even without being prompted, is like, hey, we need to start watching film on, even if we're getting away with certain things, because better personnel and good coaches like Randy Bemner are going to be like, well, this is how you beat them, or this is going to give you your best chance to. What was the other part of the question?
Double bye.
Double bye. I think it was mandatory. I think playing the 3 games was, I understand what the conference was doing. It's a moneymaker. You get on TV again. But like, that game served no purpose for Gonzaga and St. Mary's at all.
Yeah.
It just was a negative thing. Because even if you barely won, oh my God, it barely beat.
Playing a 250 team in the net, and that's going to drop you. It gives you another quad 4 win, but so what?
So what? And so then if you lost, that would put some teams that could have made the NCAA tournament out, and that's bad for the league. And people are like, well, go beat a 250 team. Sometimes it's matchups. It's just bad matchups you play against teams like San Francisco this year barely beat Portland, then lost to them, and Portland's not very good. So and we're talking about San Francisco being an NCAA tournament team. So I think getting rid of those games from a program standpoint was genius, because that's how it used to be. And then you should get some reward for winning the league, right? And so when the talk was leaving for the Mountain West a few years ago, that was one of the main issues. And Coach Few, rightfully so, put the ace of spades on the deal. It's like, I don't want to play a 250 for no reason, where they have nothing to play for theoretically. So we're gonna walk. That was one of the issues.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, but it was the right thing to do. Again, it's just, you want as many teams as a conference in the tournament. So like, why eliminate? Like, let's say if San Francisco or BYU is second place this year, and you want them to have a better chance to get in, because St. Mary's is probably going to get in. Their formula now speaks for them getting in, because they schedule good and they figured out the formula. So now we're talking the 2 other teams. We want them to get in. Well, why flip a coin and let Pacific beat them or something? And that's not a knock on them, but you get what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah, I'm 100% for the double bye. The 9 days off, I love it, because I'm pretty sure you were the same way as I was, and the team was the same way. Couple days away from the noise of the coaches constantly chirping you about the negatives, and just get in the gym on your own. Sometimes it would be with just a manager rebounding for you. Sometimes it'd be on your own, just to get that ball back in your hands and that love. Not that you would have lost it during the season, but work on something you want to work on without the pressure of the coaches around, and the freedom and the joy of the game. And then once practice picks back up, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think the WCC tournament, being one of the earlier tournaments, has then also allowed Gonzaga to have that second regrouping before Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I think there's Tuesday to Sunday, 5 days.
Yeah, they get 5 days off, and you kind of, if you get a birdie in your ear, you can kind of figure out who you're going to, it's not exact who you're going to play, but you can kind of narrow it down, so then you can start scouting and getting prepared. And then also, when you're the number 1 overall seed, you're going to scout the first game, but you're going to probably scout that 8-9 game and put in stuff even before that first game. Hey, guy, you know what I mean? And people don't realize that, but teams do that a lot. If you're really high level and good, you start preparing for the next game, even though you don't tell your guys, but your guys understand, take care of business, but this is the game coming up.
You'll start working drill-wise in practice, different coverages without the coaches saying it.
Yes, but as a player, but also like if you're coming to Gonzaga, you're not dumb and dumb in the regards of like, hey, let's look ahead of these guys. Like, no, okay, this is almost like a professional team here. Like, take care of business, but this is the bigger game. So figure it out.
When are you going down to Vegas? Because obviously you and Huddy are calling the games on the radio.
I think either Saturday or Sunday night. I'm not sure yet.
Any tee times or poker games set up yet?
There's always a poker game there, so that's already set up. I mean, tee times, I don't bring my clubs much anymore on the road.
Have you been to Top Golf in Vegas? I've been there a couple times. It's great.
It's fun.
Yeah. They got that par 3 course on the south end of the strip where it lights up. Mm-hmm. And it's like fully lit 24 hours a day.
Well, that'd be.
I've still never been there. I've always wanted to do it. I haven't done it.
That'd be fun. I mean,
yeah.
Then you just take a wedge and a putter or whatever. And just go hit.
Yeah. Well, that leads us to the listener question today, sent to me on direct message. If you got a question, send it to any of our social media channels for Gonzaga Nation SI. You can send it to me. You might send it to Adam, although he's not as active on social media. So send it to Gonzaga Nation SI. That'd be the easiest. And the question comes in as, if there's one event in Vegas that you could go to that you haven't been to, what would it be?
The one I've heard that's really good was the Michael Jackson one.
Really?
The show, yeah.
I've never been to a show in Vegas. Have you?
No. I've been to a hockey game. There's a family I know that's been very generous and has really nice season tickets and invited me to a game, and it's awesome. Like the Golden Knights. Yeah. I mean, NHL Hockey Live is unbelievable.
Where do they play? T-Mobile?
T-Mobile, and it's stacked, and they did a good job of...
Is it stacked like Staples Center then?
It's higher, and it's smaller. And what they did a good job is they didn't make the arena full of suits, I guess. That's how they always describe it. So, like, you think right when that arena would open, it'd be all the casinos would get, for their markers or whatever, you know what I mean? No, they limited it. So it's like a blue-collar crowd.
Nice.
It's great. And it's just a different atmosphere. If you go to certain games, and I'm not like a big hockey fan, but what I've heard, like if you go to a game in Philly, it'll just be like a bunch of suits guys, lawyers' offices to get their tickets. You know what I'm saying? Yep. They were like, no, we're not having this type of ads. You go to a game there, it's unbelievable. It's so much fun. Highly recommend it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a hockey game. Been to one Spokane Chiefs game in the last 10 years, but I went to an Atlanta Thrashers games years ago.
They're fun,
NHL hockey is something else.
It's awesome live.
It is.
And you have to be, I like it higher up, obviously. I think it's in people might take this wrong, but I think it's a simple sport to kind of comprehend. And I know there's more intricacies, but it's like form a triangle, guy cuts, guy fills, and you skate your tail off for 45 seconds and then you get off the ice. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. And so like when you watch it, even if you're not like an avid fan or never played it, you can kind of understand what they're trying to accomplish. Yeah. So that's why it's fun.
That's awesome. It's cool, I've never heard it put in those terms, form a triangle, but it makes sense now that you put it that way.
Yeah, they form a triangle and a guy cuts through kind of, and then a guy fills it. And then they just take a chance, boom, and then you skate back and skate your ass off and then play defense and then get off the ice. That's all they do.
Awesome. Well, my event, I'm pretty sure I'm going to catch you off guard on this one. I'm sure both of us would love to play in the World Series of Poker. Have you ever played in it?
No.
I've never played it. I just can't get myself to put that amount to buy in, even though I would have wanted to in years past. But the PBR World Championship bull riding,
I've heard that's a
would
cool
love
event too.
to go with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I call a lot of games on TV for CBS Sports, and they have that series on their network. And so
why don't you get the tickets?
That's what I've talked to them before. I was like, hey, how cool is that event? And they're guys from New York. Like they can go to any event that CBS, both normal CBS and CBS Sports, do throughout the year. They just go and some of them have said, I will not miss the bull riding. It's that good of an event.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I thought you were going to say PBA. The bowling? Yeah, the Pete Weber thing just came up a few days ago, so I was going to laugh. But anyway. Who do you think you are? I am. That's like one of the greatest all-time calls and celebrations after a win. But anyway, bull riding. I've been to a rodeo in years past, and it is fun. It's a good time.
Off topic, before we wrap up, have you ever been to Omak Stampede?
I've heard about it.
It's unreal.
That's what everybody says. Everybody says it's a good time.
Went to the Cody Rodeo a few years ago. I know you're a Wyoming guy. That was really good a few years ago.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to go.
Awesome.
Get us hooked up. You're the guy with the connections.
I'll see what I can do for this year.
Yeah, figure it out.
Awesome. Well, this has been another episode of Gonzaga Nation SI with Adam Morrison, Dan Dickau. Postseason is here. Enjoy it, and we will be back soon.